everybody, Wayne here. In today's Recon, I'm doing an unboxing and a preview of Red Dust Rebellion, designed by Carmichael and published by GMT Games. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at Red Dust Rebellion. So this is, as it says on here, Volume 12 in the Coin series. Coin is Counter-Insurgency. The games have been around for a little while now. This one, like most of them, is multiplayer, so it actually goes from 1 to up to 4 players. There is a bot included, so you can play just one person. The bot can take all 3. Play with 2 people, the bot can replace 2 of them, etc. You get the idea. Let's go ahead and open her up and start looking at her. So Red Dust Rebellion, Carmichael. Love the artwork on here. Absolutely love the artwork. Nice, thick, heavy-duty box here. Gonna be a lot of content. It's a heavy one for sure. There's a lot in here. So there's going to be 3 books. There's going to be a rule book, a playbook, and then a book for Curiosity, the card-based non-player. There'll also be cards in here as well for the bot. We're going to have multiple player aids. There's going to be a mounted map, some counters, and cards at the bottom. Let's go ahead and just work our way through each of them, as I like to do in my recons. And as always, of course, I do film in 4K. So if you're watching this and you want to see something, you can pause it, but make sure, check the bottom right, that gear icon. Make sure it's in 4K when you're watching, and you'll get the best image. So the rule book is, I believe, 40-some pages. 47 pages total. Obviously, there's lots of pictures in here. There's going to be an example of play. There's going to be lots of good information in here. Large text, column, 2-column through the most of it. So it's pretty spread out, so it's not like a heavy, thick 47 pages. All right, so in Red Dust Rebellion, you have 4 playable factions. 2 are on the counter-insurgency side. That is going to be the Martian government, along with the corporations. There is a 5th non-playable EarthGov that sides with the counter-insurgency group. And then you have the actual insurgent groups, which are going to be the Red Dust Movement, and also the Church of the Reclaimer. Those 4 are going to give you a variety of asymmetrical powers and abilities, guide you as you're playing through the game. So, rulebook itself here is 47 pages, and there is lots of color pictures, large text, 2 columns, so it's not 47 dense pages of rules, although the game does seem to be on the maybe higher medium complexity level. I've read through all the books, taken a look at the kind of the mechanisms, and have a general idea of how the game plays. So we're not going to go ahead and leaf through all of it. My recons and my overviews, I do not do that. I'm not teaching the game now. When I get to my playthroughs, tutorial videos, reviews, then you'll hear more about how the game functions itself. Again, besides the actual rulebook, you're going to have a playbook here. So the playbook does have a full tutorial you can set up and run through, explains each of the cards, some designer notes, and then credits at the end. There is that Curiosity card-based non-player rules and reference booklet, which by Joe Dewhurst. So thank you, Joe, for providing that Solitaire bot. I know it's based on the bot, I believe, originally from Gandhi. It's giving you table of contents, overview, golden rules, victory setup, sequence of play, etc., guiding you through everything, ending with some non-player design notes. Make sure to read those. They're pretty interesting. We have a whole bunch of player aid cards here, so let's kind of look at them, leave it through them quick anyway. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. So during the flashpoint round, which flashpoint is something that builds up, and then there will be a flashpoint, you can see special rules for EarthGov, Church of the Reclaimer. Other side here, dust storm round. So dust storms occur, Martian surface, pretty inhospitable. You're going to get dust storms. You're going to have to see what happens during each of the phases during a dust storm. Obviously, here's another player aid for the flashpoint and the dust storm. Here's a player aid for the Curiosity, which again, that is the non-player. During the dust storm, what he does. Flashpoint round instructions, what he does during that segment. And here you have event instructions. So based on the MarsGov, corporations, Red Dust, or Church of the Reclaimer, and then what number card. So event, number of the card, which faction they are, what they're going to do. And here's the other cards as well. And of course you have player aids for Martian government, the corporations, Red Dust Movement, and Church of the Reclaimer. Should be, I believe, 4 identical ones. Yep, since it is up to a 4-player game. The Curiosity non-player aid. So this will be something I will be using since I will be playing in Solitaire. So if you have a full bunch of the rules, campaign effects, effective event, all kinds of tables, information here for different priorities for the non-player, playing Marsgov, Corpse, Red Dust, or Reclaimers. Move priorities again for each of the factions here. You have the player aid cards, or not player aid cards, excuse me, the cards for each side to be placed next to the board, right? On the back, you have the setup, you have strategy tips, and on this side, you have for placing forces, and then various bases, Church of the Reclaimer, Red Dust Movement, Corporations, and Martian Government, and EarthGov. Again, EarthGov is not a playable faction, but it is in the game. EarthGov will go back and forth between Marsgov and Corporations, depending on who's doing better on Mars. All right, so two player aid sheets, or excuse me, two counter sheets, individually die cut, punched, so they'll pop right out like that, no problem there. Very good thickness here. So nice counters, good thickness. Managing populations on the board, which we'll take a look at this in a second. And again, go ahead if you need to. You can pause it in 4K to get a good view of everything. Varying support for, is it the opposition or support for the actual government here. Passive, and then up to active support. Population with the +1, and then here population damage. And you can see just some different markers, things like that. This is part of one of the maglev lines, gets built later on as part of an event. And overflow, you can use the overflow box on the map, which again we'll look at in a second, to keep track of extra units. All right, counter sheet 2. Here we're seeing extra supply markers, coin control. So remember, it's Counter-Insurgency, so that's going to be the two governments, or I should say the government and corporations. And then the backside, Red Dust control, Church of Reclaimer control. Approaching Storm, and then Raging Storm. Look at that artwork on there. I love this. Let's take a look at that for a second. Absolutely love that artwork. And you have satellites, and again, other keep track of profits for the corporation, things like that. So control markers. Okay, should we get the map set up and then look at the cards? Or should we look at the cards right away? Let's go ahead and pause her and get her set up. All right, we'll look at the cards quick, the tokens, the wooden pieces, dice, things like that, and then we'll get the map set up and we'll look at that. So game does come with some baggies, so you get to hold your extra counters and everything like that. You have to provide your own, very nice. And of course, it is a coin game, kind of a Euro-ish war game, whatever you want to call it. So you have different wooden pieces representing, Church of the Reclaimer, EarthGov, or Marsgov, I should say. Keep saying EarthGov, Marsgov. They're a puppet of them, aren't they? Let's take a look at some of these quick. I'm doing an in-depth examination. We'll just look at them. So, yep, they're circles, cylinders, hexagonal little guys, whatever. Hey, use when you play with. It looks like they're printed on them. Pretty cool. I'm sure they work just fine moving around, putting on the map. And here we have some actual just cubes and some pawns. Dice. One color for each of the factions here. And we have a few different types of cards. So these are the event cards. So these are the ones that it says number 49, right? So you'll be randomizing and drawing. You will be seeding it appropriately with certain special cards, just depending on scenario or depending on how you set up the actual card deck. But there's going to be an event each turn. One event will be, you'll see them both. One will be active, one will be the upcoming turn. We're not going to leaf through them because you'll get that when you actually see the game. Special capabilities. So this is deck of cards for the Church of the Reclaimer. You can see CR. So they have a deck of cards. Nobody else has a deck of cards, at least not dedicated, other than the Red Dust here. You can see Construction Workers Guild. So they have some cards of their own as well. I'm trying to think I think that's it. Yep. So it's the Red Dust campaign cards is what I think. And then you have the Reclaimer asset cards here. So the cards that they're drawing. Maybe it does go to them. Hey, I haven't played it yet. I've read through. I know a little bit, but I haven't played it yet. And then finally, other than this, cool little insert, which I end up actually having to toss because to make fit room in here for everything. You have, this is the deck of cards for the bot. So for the Curiosity non-player bot, so each of the factions has their own cards in here, and you can see your little icon of Curiosity here. So you'll create a deck based on however many non-player factions there are in there, which is the colors from their, their faction. Shuffle it, and go ahead and be drawn. These are tarot size, so or tarot size, however you want to pronounce it. So regular sized, American size, whatever, tarot size, a little bit larger, you can see. Okay, let's get that map set up. All right, so here's the board set up. This is a full, obviously, mounted map, everything like that, right? Nice thick mounted map, wrapped. Very good, very high quality. GMT's doing a great job with that, especially with any of their more recent games. All right, looking at it here, there's a lot going on, but from what I've seen, it shouldn't be too hard to keep track of, too complicated. So different things we're looking at. We can see we have a track up here at the very top of the map. The track's going to keep track of resources, keep track of, other things that you're going to need to put one of the counters on, put something on from 0 all the way to 50. You have the Aldrin Cycler area right here, right under where it says Red Dust Rebellion. So from Earth, transiting, Phobos, and then down to Mars, and then satellites that go into orbit. So a lot of focus on the moving of supplies, where we look at supplies counters, population, right, moving from Earth and coming to Mars, emigrating to Mars. And then we get down to the actual Martian surface. We have several different areas, Tharsis Montis, Arabia Terra, Hellas Planitia, and within those you'll have different areas that are the labyrinths, so sort of the cities, a lot of it's built underground, be protected from radiation, protected from things like that. But there may be, the idea of some sort of domes or protection on the surface. Regardless, named, Europa, Tereshkova, Tenzing, Shepherd, you get the idea. Outside of that will be wilderness areas. There's little spots for bases out here. Within each of those domes or labyrinths, whatever they're called, depending on what they're called, you have where they are on the political spectrum. So you can see it starts off neutral. You have places for population, places for extra population. You have transit, so maglev lines, transport in between. Again, like I mentioned before, some of them are not necessarily going to be built. I believe is it this one right here that's not built yet, or is it Tanzania? Some of them, one of them is not built. You can build later. And then if you're not using maglev lines going in between, you have the wilderness. So if you're transporting in between these different areas, right? So Tharsis Montes, Arabia Terra, Hellas Planeta, you have the wilderness. There's holding boxes for casualties. You can see displaced population, those overflow boxes I talked about. The Earth government confidence level. So based on what their confidence is on either the Mars Gov or corporations that they kind of switch who they're supporting. Who do they think is going to get the job done? And you have a kind of sequence of play area up here. Little arrows says sequence of play. Flashpoint track, by the way, is right here. I mentioned flashpoint things happening. Sequence of play up here. So you'll have your faction tokens. And then you can kind of see, okay, what are they taking? What action are they taking? And what is happening here? Obviously, each of the factions will have a different goal. That's part of coin. It's very asymmetrical, at least when it comes to abilities and then when it comes to what they're striving for victory. So for the Martian government, they're trying to increase Earth government confidence and build support among the population of Mars, right? Trying to show they're a good government. Corporations, basically amass profits. Red Dust movement, establishing bases on Mars and building opposition to the Martian government, right? The sort of Earth-backed Martian government. And Church of the Reclaimer wins by control of spaces on Mars by establishing their own bases and by removing enemy bases. So, they're the ones who are trying to convert people, because I don't think I mentioned that. Church of the Reclaimer kind of explained them a little bit, since they're a little more the unique faction, is they're the ones who they want people to be in harmony with Mars as opposed to trying to terraform it. So, all right, that is Red Dust Rebellion. I think I've talked enough about the game. You guys can see, you will see it in action. I'm sure there's lots of other videos out there. It's a GMT game, so it's probably pretty popular out there. But this is one that I do plan to play, do plan to cover on the channel, at least, as much as I like to do. You guys should be able to see it in action. But yeah, this is Red Dust Rebellion. Hope you guys enjoyed the Recon / overview. Let me know if you played the game yet, what you think about it. I'm excited to check it out and excited to show it off on the channel. And if you made it this far, love a subscription, love a thumbs up in the video. They're both free, and comment below. But until next time, everybody, later.